Here. Julia.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
And myself, Ken. Here. And we got approval of the prior meeting minutes. Any revisions, corrections? And there are copies of the prior meeting minutes up there by the agenda as well. We've got our copiers, so moving on up, I guess.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down, so it's no longer the end of March 5, 1, 2023, but it's supposed to say May.
Yeah, the number date correct, not the written date. Any other corrections, additions? Policies?
No. I'll make the motion to approve the.
I will go ahead and second that motion. All those in favor of approving the minutes of last meeting, say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Unanimous. And next up, approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. One change would be the website Schumacher Group. Julia said it's the basic package for $17.50 instead of the mid-range.
That's what?
Instead of the mid-range, she said the silver package of $17.50 is the basic. Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of tonight's agenda? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, and we'll go ahead and open up for public comment on tonight's agenda only. Seeing none, I guess we'll close public comment on the agenda and move on to clerk's report with Ken Bloom.
Bills paid this month, 46, check 4657 to 4686, for a total of $15,258.18. Payroll checks, 487. Our paycheck rolls, 4687 to 4694 and 4696, total of $5,577. And on the election, I now have access to the qualified voter file. So we have to do enough training to get onto that. I'm continuing on with more training. The absentee voter ballots must, for overseas mailing date, is no later than 18th of March. And the clerk is supposed to get us the ballots around that date. All others can go out no later than the 23rd of March. The county clerk is having a training session for election workers around March 20th or 22nd. The election committee or commission will meet on April 10th at 10 a.m. to appoint election workers. After that, we will be performing the ballot tabulator equipment validity test. And also I will be in the hall on April 29th from 9 to 5:30 for election-related work such as voter registration.
Saturday.
Yeah, that's Saturday before the election. So also, now we have the hall workstation set up in operation. I will be in the hall on Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 5:30. So I may also be here on other days, so call me to verify where I am at. So,
Track you down somehow.
yeah,
All right. Is
okay.
that it?
That's it.
Thanks, Ken. Treasury report, Kathy.
Capital Improvement Fund, 95,222.09, general checking, 325,181.18, tax account, 478,897.90. That's the one, most of that goes out this month. ARPA, 237,979.43, building fund, 150,546.93.
Comment at the bottom.
Should mention that up there, tax account. Tax account. All right. I guess I should approve treasurer's report as read. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second that. All those in favor of Kathy's report, say aye.
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 There's no nays. All right. So, Dave Kelsey, zoning report.
Okay, for the month of February, there was it's next door to 17380 Apache Trail, the ramp for boats in Indian Lakes. They pulled a permit, put fence or gate up there. At 17395 Warrior Drive, solar panels. At 12547 Howard City Edmore Road, solar panels there. At 13137 Yankee Road, a land division, and at 8944 West Swanee Trail is an accessory building. So far, there's been 3 solar jobs that have happened since it got opened up, so I think it's good that you guys,
Has it all been rooftop?
yeah,
Okay.
so that's it.
All right, thanks, Dave. Julia, with the planning commission, and have that meeting, your next one's the.
Yeah, so I have nothing new. Our next meeting is scheduled for, I believe, the 27th of this month, before Monday, I think it's the 27th. And we will have, residential, for sure, residential or small solar, something available for us to discuss at that meeting from the attorney. And then, also probably, something for wind, so we're looking forward to, going forward with all that stuff, so. Hopefully that's an exciting meeting.
Okay. Cool. All right. Continue on here, old business. We need a motion to approve and accept Steve Cole, former trustee's resignation as presented on February 9th, with an effective date of March 1st, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve this resignation.
And I'll second it.
All right, let's do a roll call vote on that
Roll
one.
call. Julia?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And myself, Ken, yes.
Motion passed. All right. And then as far as, I just wanted to cover his comments at that meeting saying that this board is being investigated for what he claimed as unlawful activities. There's no merit or base to that. Everything that we're doing as a board has been run through the township attorneys with their assistance and guidance. So we are doing everything by the law. I don't have the MTA on speed dial as he does, but they are there as a resource. So just wanted to cover that. Next up, we have the open trustee position, the candidates. We had one person express interest after it was posted in the Daily News. It was out on Facebook. There was a news article on it with regards to Steve Cole's resignation. And we have an applicant, Teresa Bennett. She is a 25-year resident in Winfield Township. She is a veteran, and so she's a current nurse, been there 25 years with Spectrum Health, and expressed interest in the township. She's lived and worked in a variety of diverse populations that has enhanced her ability to work in a cohesive manner with others. Experience in the military and as a nurse have enhanced her abilities to work well with members of the healthcare team and within the community. So I printed out her application and interest, and it should be a good fit. Discussion on that? Teresa's here, right? There she is.
Would you like to say anything, Teresa?
Well, you kind of read it all from my resume. I'm still actively working. I work in the operating room now. Worked in a lot of different arenas in the hospital, and plus being in the military, have a very diverse background. So.
Since there's no other applicants, I make a motion that we accept her as a appointed trustee.
I'll go ahead and second that motion, and let's do a roll call vote on that.
And of course, Ryan,
Yes.
myself, yes, and Julia,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion passed. Come on up here and
Welcome,
swear you in.
Teresa.
Sure.
Join the tables.
Same packet that I have, so this is for you.
Perfect.
Give you that. I'll read it first and you repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee in and for the Township of Winfield, County of Montcalm, according to the best of my ability.
Okay. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee in and for the Township of Winfield, County of Montcalm, according to the best of my ability. God, it feels like I was joining the Air Force
Ken's got some paperwork after the meeting for you.
This is what my
Yep.
W-4s and stuff like that in there to fill out.
okay.
All right, full board. And next up, we have the township credit card policy, which I've been working on, and now we actually have it. I did search for the policy book. I read through Winfield policies today, and there is no mention of credit card in there.
Well, we had one for the fire department, so we had one. I don't know, we had one.
Oh, might as well, that was disbanded how long ago?
Well, there was still the policy there, that's
Okay.
all. I don't care.
Yeah, so we
I'm just telling
created a
you.
new one and,
Just telling
you
you.
know, this
We're
was,
kind of buried somewhere, we'll
yeah,
bring it out.
so. Basically different rules and regulations. The primaries on the card would be supervisor, clerk, and treasurer, up to a $5,000 limit. An official is issued a credit card is responsible for its protection and custody. If a card is lost or stolen, the clerk shall be notified as immediate as possible. The entity issuing the lost or stolen credit card shall be immediately notified to cancel the card. The clerk shall maintain the list of all credit cards issued, card number, etc. Pretty standard documentation through here. Basically, if you use the card, it's got to have an accompanying receipt, reason for the expense, and what this does is allow us to, order through Staples, Amazon, electronic purchases. The card will be paid monthly, pretty much. We're not going to carry interest on it. So. Any other discussion on this?
No. And so this will trump, if there is something else which we can't find in the records, this will trump that, and this is the new policy. So I will make a motion that we approve this.
I'll go ahead and second that, and since this is regarding finance, let's do a roll call vote on that.
Ryan,
Yes.
Julia,
Yes.
myself, yes, and Kathy.
Hey, Teresa.
And Teresa.
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa.
She's here now.
Swearing in we just went through.
It's all good.
I'll get used
Oh,
to
you
it.
need a pen?
Well, it needs to be signed once the cards are issued. That's the policy
okay.
that's followed, so it's just for the board to review in
Right,
general,
done.
and then, once cards are issued, then those people that are issued cards follow the policy.
Okay.
So, but it has to have board approval to do that.
Okay.
All right. Next up, the website that we've been kicking down the road. Julia got quotes on that. She's sent information or seen other townships that have used Schumacher Group, and I've seen several of their websites. They are, better than what we have, and then Julia can get trained on doing the updates and maintaining the website. And I think she said the basic package is what, the $17.50.
Yep.
So,
I feel pretty comfortable with going with the basic package, so, then there's potentially, if we want, like an ongoing yearly fee of, there's like 500, 800, there's a couple different options, but we'll talk about that later. I don't know that we're gonna need that, so I don't think
Okay.
it's something we have to discuss right now.
more or less
But
support.
initially, just to get set up, yep, $17.50 is the very basic package, and I think that will suffice, so, that's how I'm gonna go with it. It sounds like we can get, a meeting set up next week, so we have the laptops now, which is what we were kinda waiting on.
Yep.
And everything else set up here, so, I'm gonna plan on going forward with that next week, and then, we'll talk about it. If there's anything else to talk about, we'll talk about it next month.
Okay. At least get it started, get it built, and get the
Yeah.
thing around, so.
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve, the website startup with Schumacher Group for $17.50 for the basic package. Get them rolling.
And I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed. Just this next option here, Board of Review disputes, 2 days next week, March 15th. Board of Review will be here at the hall from 9 to 3, and then again on the 16th from 3 to 9 p.m. That's more or less just informational there. The clerk's audit is moving forward with Weiss and Associates. He's also fairly busy with tax season. So you heard from him, or?
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't.
No. Okay. So that's moving forward there. Next up is the Township Hall. So we've put out for bids for engineering and architecture regarding the site across the street. And we've gotten a plethora of interest in it. That ranges anywhere from $4,950 for site plan, design, and structure, along with interior floor plans that meet IBC 2015 code. We've also got one for $63,845. That's another one that has kind of a ballpark price for engineering, architecture, structure. They gave me an estimate to build that hall at $200 per square foot, so that's $640,000. That doesn't, I don't think, include landscape, parking lot, just keep adding to the bill. I estimate that that hall is probably going to cost about $800,000. Another one for the engineering and architecture is $32,800 from the Spicer Group. And then Andrus Architecture, who was originally in here with the Hall Committee, I think his was around $55,000 just to get plan specs drawn up. So that kind of gives us a range to not even break ground on this thing. To get this all together and get it to a builder, anywhere from $5,000 to $60,000. Then we get it to a builder, they give us a price. I've talked with Pioneer Construction, Rockford Construction. Derek has been in helping out as well, talking to his friends in the construction industry, and it could be anywhere from $200 to $250 a square foot. So I also reached out to some contractors. Okay, so the new hall, like I said, could be anywhere from $650,000 to $800,000. We've got in our what? $150,000 in our building fund and $237,000 in ARPA. That's $380,000. So the other option, I contacted some contractors that specialize in rehabbing existing builders. I met with two of them here at the hall. I got a ballpark quote. I asked them regarding the condition of this hall. He said it's not as bad as what everybody portrays it. Yeah, there's some issues with the floor down there, but that can all be shored up. The basement could be waterproofed. The biggest solution is gutters on the side of the roof of the building. That'll keep the water from getting into the basement. We could basically gut this entire inside of the building, tear off the front facade here, put in commercial grade windows, soundproof the building, re-drywall it, put in LED high efficient lights, move some furnace ducts around. I'm getting pricing on that anywhere from $175,000 to $200,000, depending on grades and finishes of what can be done to this hall. There would be two offices built out, one for the treasurer, one for the clerk, both with sliding windows, insulated as well. Re-side the exterior of the building, with gutters on it, and then tear this out, redo the bathroom, ADA compliant as a unisex bathroom, do basically storage where the kitchen is, take out the elevator, put in an actual staircase that is functional and safe down to the basement, and then if we decide if the basement's dry down there, we could turn that into additional storage. So that's kind of the research we've done or compiled, and I'm just trying to get thoughts, ideas. I am not of the intent of doing a bond or millage and raising property taxes to cover this. Phyllis's pipe dream of a new town hall when the money's not there. It'd be different if over the past 20 years, a capital improvement fund was set up and we had $800,000 in there for a hall. We could finance, go to the state, request, and try to get additional funds, or do a bond or a millage, which then would have to go to a ballot. That's a cost of an election. And then we go through all this, we get the engineering, architecture, we go for a bond or a millage, we put it out, have an election, that bond or millage is shot down by the people. Now we've wasted money on engineering, architecture, and election costs when we have the funds to fix this place. This would give us easily another 20, 25 years of rehabbing this building, and we can build a capital improvement fund over time and take some of leftover money, do upgrades to the park, maybe build a pavilion over there, and then still plan down the road, if the township grows, build a hall at that time. So, thoughts from you guys? I've done enough talking here. I did a lot of research on this too, and I'm in the banking and financing industry, and it's not.
So the engineering part of it was between $5,000 and
$5,000 and $60,000.
$5,000 and $60,000.
Plus 600 to 800 for the construction. I mean, material prices still haven't dropped,
Right,
and then the costs together to build it.
right.
So we've got, we basically wipe out all of our funds to even get it started, and then ask for a millage of upwards of, or bond or a millage of upwards of $500,000, which I'm not gonna be the one raising taxes when we've got funds to fix this.
I mean, I guess from what you've heard, it seems like they can safely sort of,
They've seen worse than this place.
refurbish this building, or whatever the word is.
The roof, the metal roof is good, it's just, shore it up.
I'm not gonna pretend to know anything about any of this, but, because I don't know, about
You're remodeling your house all the time.
I'm still working on that.
Dennis?
Yeah, I still think that you gotta leave it up to the people on the millage or a bond. For one, you don't have the parking here. And you already got a contract set for that to be, site prep. Cause you can't do away with the contract, you already, agreed on that, so he's already got that plan. So I still had, like I say, even if you revamp this, you still have no parking.
We can add parking.
But I think it ought to be left up to the people on the board. So, that's my opinion, and you know what they say about opinions.
I think this might be a good,
Something to do with everybody's got one.
There you go.
I mean, I know it's not public comment yet, but this might be a good time to ask people's opinions.
Well, let's keep it on the board here for a second, and then we can get down, public comment, get feedback there. Kathy, your thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of torn between the two, we get one person says, oh, the thing is rotting out underneath and it's not gonna be able to be saved, and then somebody else says, oh yeah, it's fine, we can do something with it. Sure, I'm all for staying if it can be, made into something usable. It's really hard to hold elections here, cause it's not very big.
Yeah.
This building had any resale value.
Right now.
So if we decide we trash it, then nobody else is gonna, I don't think, I don't.
Maybe
I
Dollar
wouldn't-
General.
I wouldn't be big enough. for
Brenda,
them
what would you
either.
think we could get for this?
I
not thinking of that, but what my thought is, and we see it a lot of times on homes, get a licensed structural engineer, just a contractor to go through and say, yeah, this looks good, and we can do that, and we can do this, and we can do that. You need a structural engineer, and he needs to write a report so we can see what it is. We do that all the time.
Well, that's what you do for a home.
Yeah.
It's got a cost to it.
Well, of course.
Yeah, they charge per hour, whatever, but it's worth it.
But then you know going into it,
You get it
you're
in
not gonna
writing,
have hidden
so.
cost of $50,000 or $100,000 here or there that's,
Right.
you know, that wasn't foreseen.
Right.
At least then if you were putting something to the public saying, well, you know, you might want to do a millage thing, you might not, but at least they can all get a copy and see the inspection report on the building and kind of draw their conclusion from that. From there, you can get better estimates of what needs to be done.
Right.
Maybe there's something unseen.
Right.
Then again, it's just like Kathy said, you guys never worked an election here, you always just stopped in and left. I've worked an election with Kathy here before, and it's not fun, it's too small. And the people trying to park, getting in and out is havoc on 46 here. So you gotta look at that also, even though elections only once in a while, but you got that liability there too.
All right, so what do we want to do?
Well, I guess we need a real reliable opinion, don't we, on
Well, the
whether it's,
two builders I had out here both said it's salvageable. But they're not structural engineers. I mean, they're both licensed contractors, and, you know, it's just a matter of, I understand what they're talking about down there, and, you know, he said most of these floor joists have been replaced based on the age of the building and the,
they already
you know,
have been.
the new timbers
Right.
down there. Yeah, it's pleasant. The bats and
Yeah.
mice down there, real friendly. But it's just, you know, I don't know, do we wanna get a structural engineer? Pay that cost to see, you know, his take on it, I mean, the
Well, if we're
builders.
thinking of doing the renovation, I think that's what you need. Sounds
Yeah.
like that's the,
I really don't see it as a waste of money if in the long run they can point out different things that a contractor can fix, if that's the case. And maybe you end up bumping on a wall to get more room or, you know.
Well, that
I don't know
was
what you do about
another-
Parking, but I'm just
Another
saying-
option of 160, they do a 15 by 30 add-on out the back.
You gotta put in new septic and drain field to fit that footage, so you got that expense then. We already looked into that in the building.
You know, so that's adding to the 175 or 200 on top.
So you're
I
halfway,
don't know,
halfway
but
to
the one
another
that put
building
the
over there.
stairs
Right.
grandfathered,
So,
if you add
Yeah,
on
that's
or
the
move
thing,
it,
too.
I think you
We're
have
already
to,
putting money
is what
into that.
Adam said.
And
Wouldn't
of course,
fix
we're
it.
not, we're not gonna run a millage without people saying so.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. So then we've got cost of the attorneys to draw up the bond or the village proposal, get that to the ballot.
Well, it's gonna cost a little more to do a new building,
Yep.
But if you at least get your,
what are we gonna get for it?
yeah, and if you at least get your professional survey done of this building, it'll actually help either support moving forward to save it or really truly to cut your losses and move forward with your new building.
I agree. So I don't know if we need to make a motion on the exact cost or just make a motion to go forward with a structural engineer.
Do you have any idea, Brenda, what a structural engineer?
This is way different than this, but, I can get you some quotes
$3,000.
and send you a.
$3,000?
And I don't know that we have to have a cost in the motion, or we just make a motion that we go forward with the survey or whatever you call it by
Structural.
structural engineer for, somebody to look into what the potential is for this building, or not.
I'd rather kind of have a cost.
Do we wanna address it next month then? I mean, that
I'd
goes
rather,
off of the-
I'd rather try to get an engineer out here so that that way we can keep moving forward so that we can hit,
We wanna
okay,
approve
if
up
we
to a
need,
certain amount.
yeah, if we need to go further, with the new bill, then we've gotta pick, you know, at least some of these that have applied, and get that ball rolling to get the site plan, and the engineering architecture going for that. That way, if we need a bond or millage, we can try to have it on the November ballot or kicked into next year's election.
I don't think we can get on August ballot.
No, that might be.
You could start a building fund, couldn't you?
We have one.
We have one. Want to donate?
I will donate my time. I think everybody in here should turn Amish and come over here and just raise a building.
But you also gotta figure on that price you're talking about, on remodeling this, you're gonna have to find, a safe place to store all the records that's gotta come out of here, and where you're gonna have your meetings every month, so that's gonna cost you money there too. So you gotta add that on top of the figure you're thinking. So, you gotta bring that into play.
What was it at the church? Was it like $100? Meeting down
That was just to pay for the heat.
there? Huh?
That was to pay for the heat.
I think the tax was Steve.
No.
Hold on, okay, just
Mark Graham. I think.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think before we jumped into a structural engineer coming in here, I would take Pioneer out on coming and doing a site visit when they kind of do this stuff every day of the week. They work in villages, bonds, townships,
Okay.
and they can help coach us through it, kind of what their best first step.
Okay.
Just to chime in since everyone else is, there's a May election here. What's the thoughts of putting out a survey for at least those who vote to get their idea whether they want to pay more, or get a new building, or salvage what you have?
Survey right here in the hall. Type one up and.
You get half the time.
Well, I don't know how big of a turnout too for that election. What's on the ballot? Just the
911.
911. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's all fine.
So hopefully that's a big turnout for dispatch.
So if
We just
want-
talked in
if we wanna
Cato-
do a survey,
Oh.
we can, which we've talked about, and I talked to the, clerk in Pine Township who sent out, the survey there for, like wind and solar and stuff. I think you said it's, what, just $1,500 or so, just to send out like a mailer or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's gonna cost us, but I, if we think it's worth getting people's, input.
But that's if you did it at the election, then you're just paying for the.
You can't put any propaganda
Right,
in
well, yeah,
elections.
so I'm talking then,
Pardon?
if we
You
don't.
can't have any propaganda at elections.
I'm not sure if that'd fall under propaganda, would it?
If you're asking for
Opinion?
opinions, you can't have them at election sites.
Well, you could put a table out there like we did before, if those people would let us. Just ask people.
Like, who did before?
So, all right, well, okay, we'll get Pioneer Construction. I know, some guys that are higher up there, see if they can come up here versus, a couple of these other guys, have them look at this building, give their honest opinion, and then we can have further discussion, after that. We'll try to get them to give us a report.
They had in-house engineers too.
Yeah.
I think as long as they give you something in writing about a report, that would be fine. But you can't just go to the people and say, well, they said this or they said that.
Right.
Mm-mm-mm.
Okay. So yeah, I'll reach out to them. That way, I'd hate to just spend $3,000 on a structural engineer for him to say, yep, it's trash. And, I'd rather, if we've got friends, in commercial construction that specialize in this kind of stuff, then have them come out here, take a look at it, and check that option. The next month, we can keep discussing options for the new hall and, decide whether we want to spend $50,000-$60,000 to have site plans, architecture, and for a building drawn up, and then that'll give us put it out to builders to give us quotes to build that hall. So, and then that'll help us figure out what we would need a bond or millage to put on a future election. So, all right. We good on that for now? Kathy, we good? All right, so next up, checks and bills to pay.
I have any checks I have to read, like reviewing.
Sorry. Gotta give them that stuff.
So technically, two people review these and it's the trustees, so basically what we do is we go through.
Oh, I forgot to mention.
Check numbers are here, and then the check and here, there's two different ones, I'm not sure. Oh, it looks like this is for those ones, and this is for these ones, so you just kind
And
of
I
go
read
through and make
somewhere
sure
that
that
it was something,
everything.
it was an MTA
So typically I do this one.
book.
And they're not always in order.
Something with 5,000 residents. And it's at different areas in the county. So it'd have to be here, is that per township, or is that per municipality or township? And that's how much?
How much gets put in that
$5,000
building fund?
mailbox.
5,000.
5,000,
State's supposed to reimburse us, right?
state will reimburse you, but you gotta buy it first
Why
from
not
the
keep
state.
saving till you have enough?
$5,000 plus, you got to pay for all the security cameras 24/7 on it.
And the concrete base.
And it's gotta be in concrete. But once you do all that, the state will reimburse you for the 5,000.
This is all because of Prop 2?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be up by November
This
this
year?
year.
This year. Yeah.
Do they have recommendations for surveillance then and cameras and?
Yes, it's gotta be on it, it's gotta be on, the thing 24/7, it's gotta be recorded.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So for those of you that didn't hear, the state with their Prop 2 requires us as a township and municipality to get one of their ballot boxes secured out in the parking lot here. We have to pour the slab. We buy the mail or ballot box from them for $5,000. They reimburse us. We have to have 24/7 security and monitoring on the box itself. Yeah, you think you could just cut a hole in the wall and
well, they asked that, and they said you can't do that, it's gotta be a regular election ballot back from the state. Yeah, did you wanna let them know the rest on that proposal too, on how the elections go for the 9 days prior?
Oh, yeah. The,
it's for state and federal elections.
Yes.
yeah.
That's not until November of next, or 24.
Could be,
Okay.
yep,
Or the primaries. Sorry.
You have to provide 3 people, election workers, for 8 hours a day, for 9 days consecutively prior to the election. And so the county figured it was gonna cost the county about $50,000 for those 9 days, not counting the day of election.
So they're in order for the most part,
So-
I'm just not in order, I guess, but like it doesn't.
Now you gotta find 3 people, does that be there,
Oh, correct. I have a
8
couple
hours a day,
questions
9 days.
on who we're paying and what.
What's the reason behind that?
Proposition 2 that got approved last year.
Brian,
Yes.
isn't there also in addition to that, that Crystal Mart is thinking of having the 9 days be at the courthouse? And that they may not require the townships to have people in their township hall, but they may ask somebody from each township to supply a person, and they haven't figured out if they could do that yet or not. So it may not be as bad as what we think it is at this point.
Right.
That would be great.
well, she's also found out, because you gotta take, each township has to take their ballot box to the
Right.
Stanton,
She's not
Yeah.
required.
and you
But
gotta have somebody representing that ballot box from your township.
Yeah.
So each township's gotta have somebody there to watch that, because they can't just say, okay, this is your township, this is where you're gonna vote, she can't do that. He's already found that out.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and you can't have just one person, you gotta have two, you gotta have your Democrat or Republican
From the township.
from the township. So you gotta have two people on each ballot box there.
Anybody know any Democrats or anything? How's that going?
So this whole file was just like out of order from the paper, so it took a minute to,
Yeah, because
it's okay, it just took longer, cause we had to.
the report out of the QuickBooks is in a different order than the way it's printed.
Yeah, I get it,
Huh?
Couldn't have stacked it for him and next time.
Good.
Next time.
and then I put two.
The checks, yeah, the checks come out of the same place that the
So there's a,
data
two.
comes out of. In other words, I don't retype that part.
74 and 75.
Comes
so
out of the same
74, 76,
place
so
that the
they
checks
should
got
be-
written.
But they just aren't in that, you're 75.
I went ahead, another problem today, I'm trying to get in the payroll checks again.
Andy Ross.
I had to get a hold of
That-
contact QuickBooks.
It might be the
Tell me how to fix
You're
it again.
74, 75.
They definitely did an update and it
You're just supposed to get it from
goofed it up. So, what's that?
That's good.
It's,
They are out of order. They're good.
we're good?
Those bills?
All right,
Oh,
I'll
those
make a
are
motion to approve, the checks and bills and all that.
I'll go ahead and second that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All opposed?
It's supposed to be a roll call.
Oh, sorry, okay, roll call vote, sorry. Lose track.
Okay, I'll take this on. Okay.
Ken?
Roll call.
All right, roll call. Ryan,
Yes.
Julia,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and me, yes.
All right, bills paid. Next up, printing and postage of envelopes.
It doesn't cost $2.
No?
No.
All right. I don't know, I was just shocked seeing Andy Ross's expense for almost $1,500, and then you sent out your tax bills, the second round of tax bills from the corrections twice a year. You know, and is it cheaper to buy this from Staples, get, boxes of envelopes with windows on them, and then get a stamp machine in here?
Oh no, you did that. No, it is not.
It's not cheaper because
No.
it's time consuming, or?
It's horrible, because you got a small window to get them done and out.
How's that any different then?
So is it cheaper or is it just more horrible?
There,
Like,
it's cheaper as far as human, you wanna come over and do it all night. You know?
Well, do you have a machine that you're stuffing these envelopes with, or is it
No.
you're manually folding them?
Right. Manually folding them. We did it where we put the stamp on, we licked them, we put the stamp on. It was horrible. It was horrible. It's
You
not
like
worth
sponges
it.
now
It's
for
not,
that.
oh, I used a sponge, believe you me.
And now you get the ones with the peel.
Yeah, we get them with the peel, and they're all stamped and addressed, and we just can put it in, it's got a window, so it goes to everybody, and it still takes a long time.
Belvedere Township uses an outside company to,
I know there's an outside company, but I don't, for me, I would rather do it. I would rather do it, even though it's.
I think Reynolds has a machine,
Yeah, some of them do
with
have.
stuff,
Mhm.
folding stuff, and,
Belvedere has
For
one.
folding, they use it for folding.
okay.
Belvedere has one, but whenever they try to run two papers folded in one envelope.
Yeah, there's,
It sometimes
yeah,
messes.
some of them are five, you can get 5 or 6 in
Yeah.
one envelope.
Yeah.
And then there's some that I still use, you didn't like my $4 here and $4 there, well, that's so that some of these people have 14 or 25
Right.
parcels and they need them all.
Right.
They need to know they got them all.
Right. Right.
Instead of 9 envelopes.
Right, yeah.
Okay. All right, it was just an observation and question, so, I guess we'll proceed as we are, unless we wanna look at, outsourcing it, and basically then you just send them the files that.
Yeah, I know, it's out of your hands, I know.
Is there a legal requirement that requires them to be mailed? 'Cause
Yes,
Yes.
is there?
yes.
So you can't, as the homeowner, you can't opt for paperless and just get it sent to you?
No,
Like,
no.
Yeah.
Not with proper.
And do you do
tax
this
bills.
all by yourself? Like you send out every single?
Well, no, my deputy helps me,
Who's your deputy?
Charlie.
Oh, Charles. So you have to send out this to every single person in town, just you link
Every property owner.
property owner.
Mhm.
And you prefer it that way, that you just do it yourself, you don't want,
Yeah,
okay.
That's good, kudos. All right.
I'm just asking, I mean, I don't do that, and I don't know what that,
It's gotta take a massive.
yeah,
amount of time.
what kind of amount of time that would take, or like effort.
it takes
and-
time, you ask any of the treasurers, it takes time, yeah, it does.
I guess if, you're the treasurer, if that's what you prefer, I think, we should respect that, so. We can look at the costs of other options or whatever, but if, if that's where you're at, then I'm okay with that.
It is, all right. All right, next up, we've got zoning board of appeals with the change of the guard and the planning commission and Steve Cole's resignation. We had to basically set that up again, so as supervisor, I get the pleasure of appointing people to it. So I've spoken with Ken Cool. He'll be the planning commission liaison. Myself, I'll be the board liaison. Dave Myers is the resident or citizen, has expressed interest in it. So we're going to put him on a 2-year term, and then Dan Knaus will continue to be the alternate. Dan is also on the board of review. So I will need a motion to approve the updated or revised zoning board of appeals.
I'll make a motion to
I'll
approve the appointment.
So we got a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call on that too.
Okay. Roll call. Ryan,
Yes.
Julia,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Motion passed. And then just touching on the election committee, which Ken already spoke about. The election committee consists of Ken, Kathy, and myself. We will be here at the hall April 10th at 10 a.m. Talk about election workers and testing the machine. And then hopefully we can find the election workers, which I think you've got a file on prior ones.
I got my own prior ones I can.
And then you said that training with the county is what, March, what was the day you said, March 20th? What was the day of the county trainings that they were doing for election workers?
Training, yeah, March 20th to the 22nd.
So the election workers that worked the November election last year, do they have to get updated training or?
No.
Good for 2 years.
Good for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can anyone, could someone else on the board do that, or is there a conflict there? I mean, just in case, I was interested.
Being an election worker?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking for people, I don't know if we'll have a lot of interest or not, but if I was willing, I don't know if there's rules about, can it just be the clerk that's involved, or how many?
You know?
No.
I guess I'll call
I
it.
mean, you're just basically volunteering your time on the day of election, not in
I
a
just,
trustee
I don't know how many,
position.
how
or
many people
capacity.
that have
It
volunteers.
is a paid, by hour. So,
I'm not worried about the payment, I was just
no, I
wondering.
mean, it is paid by hour, so. And we still got 3 on the possible,
Yes.
3 new ones.
Any Democrats?
Well, there's some cracks on there, but I'm
All right, so that's all in the works, and then we'll, at the next meeting, we'll schedule for the budget workshop towards the end of May, beginning of June, to have the budget workshop, and then we can get that approved at the July board meeting for the next fiscal year. So, and I guess we'll go ahead and open up for public comments. State your name, where you're from. Yes.
Jenny Town, Cato Township. I just want to make a comment. Cato Township doesn't even have a parking lot for the township hall. So I know that that's kind of like been an ongoing issue here. But seriously, there are some townships that don't even have a parking lot. And Douglas has even a smaller one than you have. So there's that. And is there any place in the back of the building that can be annexed for more parking if that's an issue? Like, is this the end of the road right here? Or is there
We
other
would have to
space
see,
here?
figure out where the drain field is, where the septic is, which I'm guessing it's directly behind.
It
And
is.
if there's room on the other side there, I mean, that could be
A little
paved, or even, a gravel addition to the parking lot.
Or how far does
consumers-
it go that way or?
Yeah,
whatever?
consumers did a number when they fixed the power lines, so there's trenches back there from them.
Got the drainage there, those tracks.
We just put gutters on it and fill down those trenches. Is that it?
That's just a comment, and like, they're talking about the size of it, that's really crowded at election time. I know township halls are way smaller than this, so I know it's probably an inconvenience a couple times in 5 years, but honestly, it's just kind of an observation.
Tom Clark, Winville Township. Just curious on the building fund, if there's a projection on that building fund at when you would have enough money to build a hall. Why not, like in business, put it on a capital budget and say we want to do this within the next 5 years? And this is obviously adequate enough to get the job done now. The few renovations or whatever. I've been in the basement here. I know what it looks like. You obviously aren't going to store anything down there right now, but I would be for even seeing this place waterproofed and it cleaned up a little bit around here for a smaller amount, and then put a projection out to be able to build a new hall 5 years down the road.
Yeah, I'm just trying to capitalize on the ARPA funds. Those are the ones that are running on a timeline. We've got 150 in the building fund, which initially came from the county. There's no timeline on that, so that money can sit there and can be contributed to it if we set a timeline 5-7 years down the road. But at the same time, do we make some improvements to this where get this building in a condition where it could be saleable? Then we capitalize on the profit of this to go towards the new hall in addition, rather than just selling basically a vacant lot. Because what's to say that, John Black owns over here, he buys this, bulldozes the building, now he's got additional farmland, or we find a Dollar General or a, Family Dollar or something to, come in and take this over. And,
We don't have enough of those, right?
yeah, they're gonna bulldoze it anyway, so. Where if we, or strip club or a pot shop, figure something out. No, that's kind of the ideal, is fix this and then plan, 7-10 years down the road, for continued growth in the township, because like Dave reported, all of last year, 7 new homes. So it'd be different if it was 25, 30 new homes coming into the township, that the growth is there, but to build an $800,000 building raise y'all's taxes, and yeah, you vote on it, or you vote it down, then we just wasted money, you know, on site plan, engineering, construction costs, and the cost of the election to have a millage or bond fail.
Taxable value did go up 5%.
5%, that's a state, and then everybody's assessed value in the township, you may have noticed, was a bump anywhere, I think Andy Ross mentioned 12 to 15%. The values went up.
Right.
So I imagine that Board of Review is going to be.
The taxable value is what you go by, not by the assessed.
Right.
Assessed is only when the property gets sold,
Mm-hmm.
then it changes.
Yeah, but they all went up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what a hot
Not
real
that
estate
we,
market
assess
does.
is good to go up, right?
So-
I mean, it just means that
Values are holding.
it's
when
not
they're
gonna
assessed,
affect your
go
actual
down.
taxes.
Right.
Kathy should know that number that we get paid out of.
Everything will go.
Back to the township versus everyone else.
Anybody else got public comment?
We'll do that in the budget.
Kathy Koch, Winfield Township. So the county gave us money towards a new building or building renovations. Do we have to use that towards a new building since that's what they allocated it for, or do we have to give it back?
No, the ARPA funds are not.
Not
No,
ARPA.
no,
What the county
does.
gave us, they
Oh,
gave us
you're
money
right.
towards
I'm sorry.
a new building.
You're
Is that allocated only towards a new building and we'd have to give it back?
That's, no.
right.
Pat?
Pat?
I thought it was we could use for whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, that question's come up before, and I don't know that my colleagues or anyone else has a,
So I
That
think
was-
that's how Phyllis
That was
worded
your
it.
ARPA funds, wasn't
Can we
it?
use it for, if we choose to
I think,
refurbish or whatever, rehab this hall, I mean, rather than build a new one?
my opinion would be that would be fine. I don't think anyone's watching.
I would use the ARPA funds.
How much was that?
First, so.
Yeah.
it's a rough timeline, and then dip into a little bit
That
of that.
makes
if need
sense.
be.
They had a pro-wind ordinance at that time, so a lot will depend on that.
We do have 72,000 that's gonna get transferred out of there.
Right.
For the bridge and the computers.
Oh, for the ARPA fund? you mean?
Yeah, out of the ARPA fund, and we can put that right in the building fund.
Gotcha. So there's ways.
There was one other thing. I know during some of those meetings where we were running out of room here, we're gonna run into that same thing again once the ordinances start getting talked about again. But
And
the
that's
church
where
was $100,
Yeah, I
so,
would reach out to Mark Graham if that's, kind of the direction that it heads, see if we could use the church again, so.
okay.
Anyone else? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment then, and we'll open up to board comments. Teresa, welcome, you got any board comments? You sure?
I'm good.
Julia?
I'm good. I think I mentioned that I'll talk to Shoemaker next week and get going on that, and then, yeah, that's really it. I talked to Marla Sprague from Pine Tops, not Pine River, that's Hiroshima County. I've not talked to them. Marla from Pine, Township and, about the survey and how they went about that. So if you do wanna go forward with the survey, I have some information from her about how they did that, and, I guess we could discuss if we wanna do that, what we wanna put on it, and, whether it's something about the hall, or wind, or solar, or whatever, I don't know.
Just general
Part of me is
direction.
like, if you come to meetings, I hear you, this is what matters to me, do I have to reach out to everyone else, or do we have to do that? I don't know. I feel like the people that care show up to meetings and tell us.
That was an issue with the last board.
Yeah,
The
really.
only opinions that mattered were the ones that were in this room. And that was kind
You
of
need to reach
why you guys
out.
are here now.
So do you think we should send out a survey?
Talking
think
about
so.
$1 million building.
I mean, I guess I'm kind of torn, it's gonna cost us money to do that, but what do you guys think? Kathy, what do you think?
Well, it's always good to get everybody's input.
She said they got about a 40% response rate, and
That's
she was
probably-
like, that wasn't perfect, but it's better than just what you get at meetings.
We just had at Cato, what is she, a planner? Last night's meeting, but that's one of her specialties is the surveys. That's part of what they were paying her there to do was to set up a survey. She
Yeah.
said 10% is a good return rate. 30% what Pine got was astronomical.
They said, she said they got 40.
You
so.
don't, you get very little, 3 to
Yeah.
5% is a
So I
going
guess
rate.
the next thing would be, what are we gonna put on the survey, and what do we wanna know from people? What's up, Penny? Or, sorry, Robin.
Piggybacking on the Pine Township, that was the best thing they could have ever done. I wish all townships would have done it. When there was any kind of a discrepancy with the planning commission, that's the first thing they said was, how many people wanted it in the survey? How many people didn't want it in the survey? So you can't go wrong with a survey. You just can't.
Derek?
Website survey? We're getting a new website set up?
That's a good point. Because the biggest thing with the survey is gonna be, especially if we wanna include anything with wind and solar, we're trying to get this done, like, now. So we don't really have time to, like, send out a survey and then get results and then analyze the results and who's gonna do that.
The
And
election spoke for the results, both.
I agree,
Past election,
I agree.
Survey.
So that's the biggest thing, is that it's gonna take time.
If
and
we had all the
I think it's
emails.
important to get things, and not that we can't change it, so we can get something pushed through that the planning commission and the board agrees on, and then change it if the survey comes back and everyone's like, oh, I think we should do this type of it instead of, it's not like we can't make changes, but I do think that we need to get something done, and am I talking too
No,
long?
I was,
Got 2 minutes.
time on.
And putting out a survey, I mean, it's gonna take time to get that out, we're gonna have to give them probably 30 days at least to respond, then we're gonna have to analyze the results, then we're gonna have to go from there. So like, for me, if we wanna get something done, which I'm expecting at the March meeting this month, the planning commission meeting, to get something hopefully
Or we
done.
just send out a survey on, do you wanna fix the existing hall, or do you wanna build a new hall?
Well, that's
Yes
the
or no?
hall thing, but-
Check a box,
Yeah.
a simple
As far as
postcard.
the hall goes, yeah, which would be super important, because then we'll have an idea if we have support for a bond or a.
I wouldn't
general
necessarily worry about wind and solar on a survey based on the results of the election, and
Yeah,
let's
you're
work
right.
through,
I mean,
let's work through what
obviously,
we've
we can
got.
see that about 70 to 30
Yeah.
did not support the old ordinance.
Julie, there's a lot of people gone, feel lonely in April too.
Yeah, that's a good point, that's a good point.
I like where, yeah, we can keep talking about it, or get more info on at least just a survey.
And again, we can always make changes.
Yeah.
If we really get a whole bunch of feedback that's like, this is not what we want, we can make changes to the ordinance, we can do that, but I do think that we should get something done. Kathy, do you have any thoughts?
Well, if we send one, I think it should be simple, like you said, it's very simple, you want this, yes or no? We don't need all
Like with
these,
the hall.
well, if it's this and if it's this, and if they put too much thought into it, they will hardly even read it.
Yeah. Simple yes or no, and
Yeah.
new hall or renovate.
Well, we'll at least include something for the hall, and that doesn't have to be an everything, so it has to be.
So we go.
Yeah, that's it.
I just want to give my condolences to Dennis Arnold on his mom passing away the other day. And sorry to hear that. Lots of prayers for you. That's all I got. Ken?
Forgot to mention also that Dennis and I went down for the county clerk called us a meeting and talked about that proposition too. Yeah, it was not good. So, and as far as I have to put out a report to ARPA this month on any expenditures out of those funds. So it would be nice if we could get those dollar amounts moved out, and I can put that on the report to
Dollar amounts for what you spent for computers,
for the bridge and the 17 for the bridge and 40 for the bridge.
You guys handle the transfers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get that out, that way we're up to date of showing that we're spending some of this.
Right.
That'd be great. Well, you got,
That's it.
Kathy?
Nope, nothing.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate it.